So for example, I have the Shiseido foundation here with me. This is the Shiseido Synchro Skin Self Refreshing Foundation. I have two foundations here that I was planning on using, so I'm going to try to kind of point out the keywords that I want to mention from both of these foundations packaging. Flawless, weightless comfort, medium buildable coverage. So this foundation tells me that it is something that's written clearly, first of all, which is the medium buildable coverage, meaning that it's a medium buildable coverage foundation as it is, but depending on how you use it, what you wear underneath, and the kind of application tools that you use, you can kind of maneuver the finish and the coverage that you get out of it. Before I expand on that, let me touch upon the other foundation also. This is the Too Faced Born This Way oil-free, undetectable, medium to full coverage foundation. So again, in the name of the foundation itself, they've mentioned that it's a medium to full coverage foundation. And in terms of the finish, this only says that it's a naturally flawless kind of a finish. I want you to first of all think of any base makeup product in terms of a spectrum. This is the low coverage kind of end and this is the high coverage end. So from here to here, we can say that a low coverage product for your complexion could be a tint, then maybe a BB cream or a CC cream, then you come to like a sheer buildable foundation, then a medium to full coverage foundation, and on the high coverage end we have a full coverage foundation. Now the thing that we kind of overlook and don't pay a lot of attention to is the fact that the finish of the foundation is actually supposed to be on bare skin. For example, if I was to use a very heavy thick moisturizer as my skin prep product and I end up using like an uber matte and like full coverage foundation, it is not going to be full coverage by the end of it and not matte either, because the oiliness in my skin prep product, the moisturizer, is gonna end up messing around with the formula of the foundation. So the oiliness is gonna cut down the formula and make it less matte and also less coverage. So the more products you add, the more chances of your makeup, first of all, slipping and sliding around even without touching on the actual formula. Your makeup will slip around if you wear a lot of skincare products. It might look very healthy from afar, but it's not going to be long lasting that way. And for like a contrasting example here, if I wear something like this under the same foundation, it's actually going to be more true to what the claims are on the packaging and what the brand claims that this foundation is going to do for you. So sometimes we can completely change the formula for foundation depending on the kind of products that we're using for skin prep without even realizing, and then feeling like the foundation says that it's supposed to be full coverage and matte, but it's not full coverage and matte, and like kind of blaming the foundation for it, whereas the blame here, maybe not the blame, I'm making it sound very serious and it's not that serious, but maybe the issue is with your skin prep routine and the kind of products that you're using instead of the foundation. So I've already rambled on too much and I feel like this might be a very long video, so I just want to kind of read out whatever I've written here, and if I feel like I should expand on something, I will. So I've spoken a little bit about skin prep, a little bit about makeup, and tools I will kind of just stick towards the end. So for skin prep, I've written that you should do it according to your skin type. Obviously, finding out your skin type is one of the most important things. So the way that you find out your skin type is do like a very normal kind of skincare routine at night, maybe one serum and one moisturizer and that's it. Don't pile on a lot of skincare products. And the next day when you wake up, look at yourself very closely and try to figure out if there are any specific zones in your facial skin where you can see a lot of oil and a lot of shine. So for me, when I wake up, my entire face is oily, but especially on my forehead and my nose, it is just out of control most days, especially in this weather. So that tells me that my face is oily, but my T-zone is just the most oily part of my face. For some people, they wake up and their skin feels tight. Some might even notice a lot of flaking, especially in their cheek area, because the T-zone tends to be mostly either normal or oily for a lot of people, especially in India. That's what I've noticed. But of course, there are always exceptions. So if you see some flaking on your forehead, don't like rule it out. It might actually be a result of dryness or dehydration in your skin. So when you wake up is kind of, I feel like, the truest picture of your skin. if you can't really see very clearly some oil or greasiness or anything, your skin might be normal. So again, it's a spectrum and it's not like a boxed in category. So this is something that again you will have to kind of get acquainted with and pay really close attention to. So then if your skin is dry and you kind of tend to flake, and if your skin is textured skin can happen to any skin type. It's not necessarily just a dry skin trait. So either flaking or texture, I would recommend exfoliating your skin to kind of help with that. Find out what kind of exfoliants might be good for you. There's usually 3 types: chemical, physical, and hybrids. Chemical exfoliants are your AHAs, BHAs, and PHAs and stuff. Physical exfoliants are the kind of small beads that you have in like a scrub format, where you massage your skin gently with those and that kind of sloughs away the dead skin. I don't tend to like those because my skin is a little sensitive and I find that those beads can be a little harsh for my skin. But recently I've started seeing a lot of products that actually are a physical exfoliant and chemical exfoliant hybrid essentially, which don't have as harsh of a bead. Then the next thing you're supposed to do is one product that hydrates your skin enough that you don't need anything else. Keep the amount of products that you use as low of a number as possible. If you can find one that does it all, stick to one. Do not pile on a lot of skincare products. So for skin prep, the 2 things that you need to remember: use what your skin needs and use what your foundation needs. The reason I'm asking you to exfoliate and make sure that there's like low texture on your skin is because if you're using like a natural to matte finish kind of a formula, those formulas can kind of tend to cling on to dry patches. So if you don't take care of your skin before you start the makeup application, makeup can actually end up exacerbating and exaggerating the look of those issues. So try to deal with a lot of those issues before you begin your makeup application and kind of fix it with skincare if you can. And I've already spoken about the spectrum of coverage when it comes to base makeup. Another kind of spectrum that exists that I think I've already kind of touched on, but I again want to kind of point out, is the finish. So finish meaning the way it looks on the skin, not coverage, the amount of shine it has, more or less. That's what it means. So starting with like an absolutely dry matte finish, like a powder matte finish, to a glass finish kind of a formula. Starting with matte, you might have a absolute matte, then a normal matte, then a natural matte, then a natural finish, then a natural dewy finish, a dewy finish, and then a glass finish. So again, depending on where the product kind of claims that it sits, you can maneuver for the finish. And even if you're wearing like a natural matte finish, let's say, you can make it look dewier, not by skin prep because we're only sticking to one product, but maybe with using like a highlighter or a liquid one, especially because that really tends to look natural in my opinion. Now lastly, talking about tools, this can be a little bit controversial. I have used sponges before. I figured out what kind of works for me and what doesn't. If you watch like really old videos of mine, you can see that I've used like beauty blenders and stuff to do my makeup. But in the last, I don't know, 2 years, I don't think I've put up a single video where I've used a sponge for makeup application because I just do not like them anymore. And I know a lot of you actually might enjoy using a sponge. You feel like it makes your makeup look better. You feel like it's just faster to use. And those are all very valid, very good reasons to use a sponge. I don't like it because again, I don't know what is wrong with my skin. I don't know what is wrong with the way I use it. I know you're supposed to wet it and all of that. Like, I'm a professional makeup artist. I know the way you're supposed to use it. But I feel like depending on the formulation of your foundation, a lot of natural matte to matte foundations tend to have a film forming, almost like technology, where after you've applied it, if you leave it for 10-15 minutes, it kind of tends to join together and form a film on your skin, which kind of helps to make it last longer. A lot of long-lasting formulas that claim that they're gonna last for like 24 hours on the skin, let's say, they usually tend to have this kind of a built-in technology. So the issue is, whenever I've used a beauty sponge with this kind of a formula, it kind of tends to just lay down the pigment and press it on your skin like a mask. So after you're done with your makeup application, anytime that you smile or talk, it just starts to crack everywhere. I've had that happen with me multiple times before. So when I kind of switched to using brushes solely for my makeup, I found that because you can use swirling motions and you can use tapping motions, it was keeping the film that is formed on the skin rather flexible, so it moves with your skin and it doesn't tend to crack as much. When I figured that out, it completely changed the game for me. I have not used a sponge after that. I do not like them anymore. I don't use them on myself or on my clients anymore. I only stick to brushes and I love it. A lot of brushes don't really give you that nice airbrushed even finish in like 5 minutes. After application, you might have to spend some time with your brush just making sure that it looks even everywhere. So therefore it kind of tends to be a little bit more of a time consuming method of putting on makeup, but the way it looks in the long run is, it just makes it worth it. And another thing that I feel like is the big issue with makeup sponges, because you're supposed to wet them before you use them, I feel like if you don't end up squeezing out almost all of the water inside it, the water in the sponge can kind of again mess with the formula of the foundation, which unnecessarily sometimes has, for me at least, led to oxidation of the foundation. It leads to the foundation breaking up on my skin while I'm applying it, which just meant that I had to take it all off and start all over again. Usually the kind of brushes that I end up using for my foundations tend to look like this, because with this kind of a brush I can, you know, really just thin out the product and really just spread it everywhere. And wherever I feel like I need a little bit of coverage, I tend to use these kind of dabbing motions, which just make sure that I am depositing enough pigment where I need it and not everywhere, so my face doesn't look like I'm wearing a mask. Hey guys, so please ignore what I look like right now. I'm currently visiting my sister, which is why I am not in my usual setup. But I just wanted to come on here and let you know that this is where the video ends. I actually went on to film a full-on makeup tutorial after this, but I, while editing, figured out that I actually didn't share any like helpful information like that like throughout the video I've shared, as you can see, or I hope you find it helpful. So I chose to kind of cut all of that out and just leave you with the information that I wanted to leave you with. The whole makeup video was kind of leaving it at a 1 hour mark, which was crazy. In case you want to see the makeup look that I did, you can head over to my Instagram. I posted a 1 minute reel of it, I think. And I will also leave a link to that particular video in my description box, so you can check it out there. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.